back to SCV today, and it is time for our weekly real estate segment, and that means Mike Bjorkman. And by the way, I just want to tell you real quick, my mom called yesterday, we were talking, she calls you Boom Boom.
I wonder why.
Yeah. She's saying, well, what Boom Boom said about this, and Boom Boom did this, and so you're not Mike Bjorkman, you're Boom Boom.
Awesome.
Okay? To everyone in Kansas City.
Well,
Where
welcome
were
home.
we at the other day when you said boom? And
We were right here filming.
We filming?
Exactly.
So funny.
You know, she comes back, she's talking about this light rail system, high-speed
High-speed rail
system.
Say it 3 times.
High-speed light rail system.
No, there's no
I know.
light.
Yeah, it's
There's
very
no
heavy-duty
light.
rail.
I don't know what you like light.
That
Like, I
caught
don't know
the crowd like that. She's
Chris
talking
is
about,
I'm glad to be back there.
yeah, the high-speed rail system, yes.
You know what? I
You
really
brought up
wanna-
an interesting point, though, because, and the word is now disclosure, and that's the key word for the day.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, California. I have to go back because you guys had one of my good friends, Chris Brooks, on the show, and what we didn't talk about. And Chris is not a bragger. He is a tremendous community partner. You know, helps a lot with the community, donates a whole lot. But I have a specific story where I had a dad that I was involved with through a local charity, and he had 3 boys of his own, and his best friend passed away in a sudden accident, and had to adopt or take those kids in. And he was a maintenance guy and didn't make a whole lot of money. And I was telling him, what are you guys going to do this weekend? He's like, nothing. We just, hang out at the park. We don't have enough money because now I got 6 kids. And I said, well, what they're boys. And so, geez, Nick. Don't worry about that.
Cool.
Oh, this is getting good.
This
Where's
is
my
really
camera?
getting funny now.
Where's my camera?
I got it.
You okay, Nick? Yeah, you're okay?
Oh, jeez.
Look at my-
That was just beautiful.
Don't worry,
we got it. Don't
we
worry.
got it. We got it. You're good.
Okay.
Nick just crashed and burned, took down half the studio with him.
He got
Holy
emotional
cow.
with me.
Ah,
Tell me
yeah,
you
I
can't
gotta-
believe it. Hey, no, listen, this seriously is a good story.
I know, he turned back around.
So I text Chris, and within a half an hour, for free, this family has full-on race day at MB2.
Nice.
And when I talked to the guy afterwards, he said, my kids have never been so happy in all their lives. And since those other kids' parents had passed away, he had never seen them smile until that race. So every time I think of Chris and MB2, I think of that story, and I think about all the things he's done for
job.
me. So thank you guys, the whole
Yeah.
Brooks
You
guys
family,
rock.
That's
for
awesome.
really making a difference in Santa Clarita.
That's really cool.
And you know what else I'll point out, since we're still talking about MB2? I won't forget when they had first kind of started, and it was the 4th of July parade. And I was sitting on the curb there at Orchard, and here comes there was the van or the truck, and Martine is on the microphone, and she's like, "Everybody come to MB2," and she was just really working it, and it's a real partnership there. That it wasn't like Martine sat at
She's
home.
a good MB2 mom.
Yeah, she's not sitting at home going, come on, Chris, do it all, make the money. No, she's out there working and getting dirty, and
Yeah, she's serious about PR too.
yeah. They might be better than you, Bjorkman.
I taught them. What are you talking about?
Oh, okay.
Okay, anyways, back to
Okay,
disclosure.
okay.
You brought up a good point by bringing up that train, and it's something, believe it or not, I know you just found out about it, but we've been talking about it for 10 years. And it's a big deal. It'll create a tremendous amount of traffic, a tremendous amount of noise and commotion in Canyon Country. Running through Sand Canyon, which is some of our most expensive real estate in Santa Clarita, yeah, it's a big deal. And it's very similar to the mining project that our great city's been fighting for, again, 10 years,
Right.
making an absolute difference. But, when you think about it, you said, oh my gosh, they have to disclose in Sand Canyon when selling their home. Yeah, a lot of things in Santa Clarita need to be disclosed. And, again, I'll point out that's the difference between a very experienced agent and an agent that really doesn't know Santa Clarita or hasn't been practicing out here very long. As you go around the city, there's many things like we need to disclose Wayside in Castaic. A lot of people don't know the jail and that max facility out there.
Oh, I hang out there all the time. It's no problem.
Yeah, and like in Placerita Canyon where I live, it's a mecca for disclosure because there's a humongous SoCal gas hub there. These humongous pipes coming out of the ground just right above my house that nobody knows. Even the neighbors have no idea it's there. We have to disclose, the huge water pipe that you see running through Saugus High, comes over the hill, down right by my house. There's humongous oil lines in the ground there. there's a lot of things that people don't know, and you need to disclose that as a seller. And sometimes the seller gets so caught up in moving and selling their home and worrying about their proceeds and whatnot, they forget things. And the last thing we want to do is see a homeowner get sued right after the close when somebody comes in and says, hey, did you know this exists?
Right.
Like right now, one of the things that I always disclose is we have an area, Santa Clarita area disclosure that I've custom made, and somebody was going to try to sue one of my sellers for not disclosing Bouquet Canyon Reservoir, because supposedly if that breaks, it can cause some pretty serious havoc. But I mean, who in this room would ever think Bouquet Reservoir to disclose? But I have it on my disclosure sheet, and once their attorney saw that and they initialed right there, it was kind of over. You know, so things like that are a major big deal.
So you would obviously want to counsel buyers that you would be representing to be asking, and you would be obviously at the forefront of that, is there anything that needs to be disclosed about this property, no matter where it is in Santa Clarita?
Any seller, we ask them. Most of the time, I'm educating them what we need to disclose because I don't want to see them, again, get sued. But it's the same with a buyer. You know, there's a lot of buyers that are concerned about different things, whether it be the jail or whether it be reservoir or whatnot. I saved a transaction the other day because they didn't know. They wanted to move into Sand Canyon and cut down about 40 oak trees and, and build a tennis court. And I said, whoa, wait, if that's your true intention, we better approach the city. And the city says, heck no. You know, so that would have been a big nightmare going through the escrow. Things of that nature come up all the time.
So we've talked about things like reservoirs and oak trees. What about death? If there's been a death in the property, do you need to disclose that?
Absolutely. And there's time frames involved for different reasons of death that I'm not comfortable saying on air, different diseases and stuff, let's say. But anytime I say a seller must disclose that. And here's my golden rule. If in your mind you wonder, I wonder if I should disclose that, the answer is automatically yes. That way you're always safe. You know, there's so many things you need to disclose, like non-permitted things. Sometimes buyers think it's non-permitted like crazy. Like, Chris, remember that house in Saugus with that crazy water slide? You know, the rental property you have? I mean, that sticks in my mind as something that a buyer might say, hey, is that thing permitted? Well, first of all, we have a 60-foot slide at a 45-degree angle going into a pool.
4 feet of vert.
Yeah, probably not, you know. And then, you know, up in where I just sold 2 houses up behind the gates on Wheeler, that particular neighborhood's got a lot of geological issues that most people don't know about.
Do you know my grandfather owned all that property?
Did he?
He did, yes. And he sold it in the 80s. That's where my mom had her horses.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Great.
No kidding. Yeah.
Now it's just a big, huge landslide.
A little bit, yeah. And he thought they were crazy to ever build up there.
Right.
Can you go into the ramifications? Because you're talking about the lawsuits and such for non-disclosure. I mean, obviously, now that I, as a homeowner, I'm sitting there going, wow, I wonder if I have anything that I need to disclose or what it might possibly be. What are the ramifications, the lawsuits, the liability that a seller would possibly have if they don't disclose what they should be disclosing?
You know, it's a matter of severity. Every situation's different. I've seen them not disclose permitted block walls and get a check for 10 grand so they could redo them to code. I've seen it all. You know, again, like the oak tree things have come up a lot. Sellers just forget to disclose things. They think it didn't affect me when I bought, but when somebody else buys, they have a whole different set of opinions. You know, some of the things too is the sellers disclose school systems. You know, this goes to blank school. And I train my sellers, don't ever get into that because during our escrows, they could change boundaries or guidelines. And then you'll have another issue. So I say buyer to investigate schools. So there's just so many different avenues of disclosure.
Has it gotten a little out of control?
Well, California is such a litigious state. You know, everybody wants to sue everybody. And right now, everybody knows that the agents and the E&O insurance and the brokers, they'll all settle. They say, we don't want to go to court, it's too expensive, so we'll just write a check. So everybody has a friend that's a lawyer, like everybody has a friend that's a real estate agent, and they go to the lawyer, and the lawyer says, I'll write a letter, I'll bet you we'll get a settlement check. Sure enough, the insurance company's
sad.
Yeah, it's sad.
It's sad.
And it's always, you know, $10,000, $20,000 check written for no reason, unless sometimes the other agent doesn't disclose properly. You know, and some agents get upset with me because I'll disclose things that they're like, no, don't disclose that. And I say, yeah, I'm going to disclose that. I think it's important that my buyer knows that it might not be easy to get fire insurance here, or there was a flood in this area, or if there was a landslide, 3 doors down.
And having been raised here, you've got an advantage in knowing things that have happened.
I've sold a home in every single neighborhood pretty much in Santa Clarita.
Did you ever go to like some of these neighbors and be like, yeah, I partied up here when it was
totally.
nothing but
Yeah,
mountains?
I've sold homes 2-3 times that I have major memories at, the friends grew up at, or
Yeah.
Streets I grew up on and streets you grew up on. There's so much disclosure, and I say, oh yeah, I remember when there was a huge fire right there and that house burnt down, or I remember when, mostly landslides and things of that nature. That's really a big impact, like Sierra Estates. We just sold one the other day there, and I said, hey, why don't you go check with the city and see what's going on with this particular home? Sure enough, red tagged in the past.
Wow.
And they're like, thank God you said that to us. And now we had a geo inspection, and sure enough, $35,000 to fix a retaining wall. And that's something they only would have found out afterwards.
This is today's topic, and what we've talked about here is the reason why everyone needs to be watching the program all the time, because it's not just about buying and selling homes, how much inventory, whatever. This was a great topic that affects every single buyer and seller, and this is why people need to be watching the program and watching you all the time.
Yeah. It's one of my favorite things when people say, "Oh, Mike, I won't even say that, but here's what I say back to them. I say, sometimes I get paid not because what I do, but what I know.
Exactly.
And that's, I go to the very best attorney for a reason. I go to the very best CPAs for a reason. I go to the very best go-kart track for a reason. Things like that.
Yeah.
Very good. Mike Bjorkman, thanks again. As
Thanks,
always,
guys.
It's great. Appreciate you being on. That's going to do it for us today. Thank you for spending a part of your day with us. We hope you have a good rest of your day.